Bloodwood is a beautiful tropical hardwood. The species that I have mostly comes from South or Central America. It does go by other names, but mostly I always call it Bloodwood. This is heartwood, which is generally a nice deep red color with kind of ribbon type grains in it. And the grain is usually tight and straight. It could sometimes be a little bit interlocking, but most of the time it's straight. It is a very dense, strong, tough wood, but it can also be brittle and can splinter. I've worked with this wood many times before, and it can definitely be a difficult wood to work with, which is probably why my suppliers seemed a little happy to get rid of it. Also, I'd like to mention that this is kiln-dried wood. And since I resawed this piece, I have another piece for later. Now I decided to go with a woodworm screw and mount that to my 4-jaw scroll chuck, and I'm going to add a wooden spacer as well. That way I don't have the woodworm screw too deep. I actually changed that thicker spacer out for a thinner spacer because I actually needed a little bit more holding power. But as you can see, the wood spacer is wider than my jaws, so it gives it more stability, which is a good thing. One of the first things I did was to even out the face somewhat because there's a lot of vibration from the resawing on the bandsaw. And I also started with my new bowl gouge, which is an M42 steel. And as you can see, it is a very tough, heavy wood and will dull your tools very quickly. And if you have not figured it out already, I am making a dovetail tenon, so when I turn the bowl around, I can fit it into my 4-jaw scroll chuck. Do as I say, not as I do. If you can pull up your tailstock for safety, you should whenever possible. I should have done that here. I forgot, I know. One downfall to turning kiln-dried wood is a lot more dust. And with bloodwood, that means a lot of red dust everywhere. On a safety note, if you are going to use spacers, make sure you stop every so often to check to make sure that your piece is still secure to your chuck. And to finish up the shape or the profile of the shallow bowl, I switched over to a round carbide cutter. I also decided to add a thin rim. Then I switched over to a square carbide cutter so I can get more of a flat surface on the rim. And I also have a handmade chip deflector, which works pretty well. Cut down on some of that red dust all over. I switched over to my round carbide cutter again, and you can also see that the rim is established now and it's pretty thin. Next, I'm going to mark out my lines where my OG style bottom is going to take shape. I'll make a line at the beginning and then again at the end of where my curve will be. I also decided to turn the tenon into a small pedestal for the bowl later on with a small bead. And if you are going to do this, just remember, if you're going to turn it this way and turn it around into your chucks, you still need a little bit of a shelf for the jaws to rest up against. Next, as I'm coring out the front of the bowl, I will take measurements on the back of the bowl so I know where the curve starts and stops, and I can try and match that on the front. That way I can have an even thickness throughout the bowl. I do love that sound when you turn a thin piece. The bowl ended up being 1/8 inch thick. At this point in the project is where I would determine if I wanted to add some points of interest or add any detail or texture, and I don't. I want to leave this piece natural. I like the ribbon effect in the shallow part of the bowl. In the grain, it just seems to stand on its own, so I'm going to leave it natural. So I'm going to remount the bowl, and I've never tried it this way, but I'm going to use my cold jaws and use kind of a jam chuck effect and finish putting a bead on the pedestal. And make sure that your piece is secure, and if you are going to try the cold jaw method, make sure that you're using the proper RPMs for your cold jaws. And to make quick work of the bead, I actually just used a 1/8 inch beading tool. And now for the long-awaited finishing process that I'm going to try for the first time. And I'm starting out by using a shellac, and I believe this is a 3-pound cut if you're interested. This is just a store-bought brand, and there is no wax in it. I also did not dilute this shellac at all. Well, if you're anything like me, I like to try different finishes all the time, and I've never tried this on a turning piece before, so I'm going to give it a try. And it is Howard's Restore a Shine, and I'm going to put this as a last final step over the shellac. And you can use this over lacquer or polyurethane shellac varnish. It's just a final step. I also did check out their website, and it states that there's no silicone or linseed oil in the product, and that there is micro polishing powders and oils and waxes in the product. It's basically supposed to take out any surface scratches or any dullness or hazing and give it a nice even look. And I'm hoping that this will seal the Bloodwood, because Bloodwood has a tendency, like most woods do, to darken as it ages, so I want to try and keep some of that red color for as long as I can. I did try hand buffing with a dry paper towel, but as you can see here, it left a white haze over the finish still, so I resorted to some power buffing, and that did the trick. I definitely could have completed and applied this finish on the lathe. I ended up doing 3 coats of shellac with a sand in between, and 3 coats of the Howard Shine. Well, you have to excuse the mess again. I'm restoring an old 1950s joiner. One of the main topics of this video was having a quick, fairly durable finish. I mean, this dried so fast. I wouldn't eat off of this. I don't know exactly what's in that stuff, but as far as a decorative piece, or that's not going to be handled a lot, something, I think this is a great quick finish. And the Bloodwood, as always, is just a beautiful wood, although it can be difficult to work with. I may not use this finish all the time. It depends on the piece, as you know, as any finish. If you'd like to keep tabs on things like that, I do post follow-ups on my Facebook page if you're interested. And sometimes I post things there like this joiner restore that I don't have in my videos. So as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have not subscribed, please feel free to do so. Stay safe in your shop at all times. Take care, and thank you.